Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to share with you a framework, which means it is a way of implementing strategic concepts of the mind that are going to be able to lead you into understanding manifestation principles, success in genetics, God dang it, here we go. Energetics, success, energetics. If you do what I tell you to do, the way I tell you to do it, you're going to have the result that you are looking for. Now, if you're just now seeing my face, hi. Again, I am Master Johnson. I have a tendency of making things make sense. If you would feel inclined or feel so kind, do the things with the buttons. You won't regret it. Let's go and dive on in. There are 3 questions that you are constantly being asked. Now, I got this formula actually from a gentleman by the name of Tony Robbins. If you don't know who that is, I would highly suggest looking it up. But I figured, you know what? Let me go ahead and share with what I've learned from Tony that has allowed me to be able to implement these concepts of the mind to then lead to, as I had mentioned, the results that I was looking for. Now, there's 3 questions that you are always answering at any given moment of your time. You're going to want to write this down. The very first question is, what am I going to focus on? See, I'm going to break this down in such a way that allows you to not just understand the power of your focus, but also give you the tools to implement to make sure that your focus is exactly on what it should be on in order to put you into that alignment that's going to lead you into being the identity that has that reality. Yeah? So again, what am I going to focus on? Now, there's 3 patterns of the mind that automatically shows up. The very first pattern is, am I going to focus on what I have or what's missing? See, obviously I don't need to be the bearer of bad news, and it's kind of stating the obvious, but if you are in a relationship where you're only focused on what is not happening, what you are not getting, how long is that relationship going to last? Versus if you are in a relationship where you are focused on what you do have and the appreciation of what it is that you do have, how long is that relationship going to last? Do you see what's going on here? The first pattern of focus, my friends, is, are you focused on what you have or are you focused on what's missing? Now, the second pattern, this is very interesting. I love this stuff. But the second pattern is, and I want you to call yourself out if I'm pretty accurate, do you have a tendency of focusing on not just what you don't have or not just what you do have? Do you have a tendency of focusing on what you are trying to control versus what you actually have control over? Which one do you spend or tend to spend enough or majority of your time in? Trying to control the uncontrollable things or focusing on the things you can control? That's the second pattern. Now, the third pattern, it's very interesting. I actually have all this written out, and when I looked at it, it really kind of brought some things when I very first laid my eyes on this into perspective for me. But the third pattern is pretty simple. There it is. Do you tend to focus on your past, on your future, or in this present moment? See, if you can understand the patterns, my friends, of the mind, well, then now we can introduce new patterns. We'll start automatically going to introduce new behaviors, new thinking patterns, new ways of being. Now, what if I told you you're not a human doing, but you are a human being? So here's what I want you to understand. In that pattern number 3, if you are operating in your past, well, clearly it's past you. There's no change in that past. What's done is done. You can change your perspective on it. Sure, you can make new definitions, meanings, and stories on it, but ultimately, you kind of understand that there's no power in the past. The future is basically the cousin of fear. It produces things to fear. And a lot of times, if you're always inside of the future moment, guess what? You're an achiever. I'm an achiever. I want to go ahead and be able to see what it is that I need to go ahead and prepare for in order to be successful when that time comes, right? We are high achievers. But again, while that starts in a very positive place, eventually it becomes a permanent place of scarcity and worry and fear and doubt. So what's the antidote here? Obviously, it is going to be the present. And then we are no longer basically visiting the past poisoning this present moment and contaminating our future. We're in the present moment. Here we go. Focus on what we can control and focus on what we have. Now, I say all of this to really just summarize this into one major thing, which is if you focus on what you appreciate, it's going to appreciate. But if you focus on your expectations, the only thing that you're going to be led to is disappointment. Disappointment is the fuel to expectations, okay? But appreciation is the fuel to more things to appreciate. Just a little side hack. Now, back to those questions that I was talking about. The first one, what are you going to focus on? And then we got into the patterns, okay? This is a framework that I'm sharing with you. But the second question that I have for you, and I want you to be able to just kind of register in this, and I even wrote it down so we don't butcher it up. The second question is, here we are. Yes. What does this mean? Meanings. So the first question, what am I going to focus on? After you know what you're going to focus on, the second question is, what does this mean? And now this is where your personal power comes in. Well, this means that this is the beginning of something new, or this is the end of everything. It very well could be both things. But then now, what is the meaning that you're giving to the situation? Don't you see what I'm leading into? Just stick with me. Life happens to everyone, but the way you choose to experience life is your choice. Now, what does that mean? That means the way you receive your reality is all going to be based off the perception that you first had, the definition, the meaning, and the story that you are giving this experience in your life. Once again, is this the end of everything, or is this the beginning of something new? What is the meaning that you're giving? First question, what am I going to focus on? Second question, what does this mean? Third question, Tony says, what are you going to do? Master Johnson says, who are you going to be? Based off the meaning that you have given, it's either going to be an empowering, personal concept of oneself that says this is the beginning of something new, or it's going to be of the old identity, of the old paradigm, of the old meaning, of the old behavior that is now isolating everything that you are experiencing into why you're experiencing it based off of the memories that you have, the experiences that you are comparing it to. Now, I don't want to lose you on this. It's essentially this. If you try to build your future out of your past, you're just going to recreate your past. But in this present moment, if you come into alignment, you recognize that you are the decision maker, God is the way maker, and it is your job to give the definitions, meanings, and stories based off what you are choosing to focus on. Well, then, my friend, you can now get into a place, into a point where you're living more life full of appreciation rather than expectation and obligation. This framework, I want you to be able to sit with. Rewatch this video. Share this video with your mama. Do the things with the buttons. See, this channel is going to be dedicated to making frameworks and me explaining frameworks that are going to be directly in parallel and in conjunction to the higher realms and conscious concepts to be able to bridge the gap so that you can implement this high level frequency and vibration of wisdom and then apply it into your life to bring you the actual result that you're finally looking to experience. Hopefully you got a lot from this video, because I know I did. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you on my next video. Remember, my friends, you are not the victim to your reality, you are the architect to it, but it's going to need a master architect. I am Master Johnson, and you are a wealthy person. Thanks for catching up with my video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay aligned.